Well, hi, everyone. It's Pastor Borden with the Midweek Devotional, coming to you instead of my real office from what looks like a really nice Airbnb in New Zealand today. I want to focus this week's devotional on thinking mission. With all of us staying home, I think there's this growing temptation to become really passive, which is really not what we want. The church is not a passive organization. We're the ones Jesus said would storm the gates of hell and win. So while everything happening around us is hard in a lot of different ways, as followers of Jesus, we have a mission which hasn't changed at all. We're to love God, love our neighbors, and follow in Jesus' example in this. So the past Sunday, I encouraged our Faith Baptist congregation to try to shift towards more of our thinking in terms of mission. And I know this has been a kind of a disorienting 10 weeks or 12 weeks or 6 months or whatever it is at this point. But even though sometimes people like to use the word, this is not unprecedented, at least not for the Christian church. We have worshiped and we have served through plagues, through disruptions and horrible complications many different times. And that, in fact, is often when we are at our best, when we remember that we have a mission in this world to fulfill, especially when times are hard. So today, I just want to reinforce the idea that if we are followers of Jesus, we shouldn't become too insular during these times, not too self focused. Even though our worlds have necessarily shrunk down a bit to the homes many of us don't leave all that often, God has more in mind for us than that. Philippians 2 is this amazing chapter for learning what it means to be like Jesus. And a couple of the verses in that chapter remind us that we should do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. And that has a lot of implications for the time we're in right now. It's relevant to how we behave in order to help protect others from this virus, even at the cost of some of our preferences and desires. It's relevant to how we put our church and our work back together again as things start up in our world. And there are some better ways to approach some different things that I hope we'll be open to exploring as we start to see things start up again. This is relevant to how you set your priorities in the days to come. We're going to gain some more freedom. So are we going to use that mainly to reclaim the lives we had, or will we use some for compassionate care of others, or have some courage to speak some good of Jesus to those around us? So here are three very practical things you can do for others as part of the mission of the church this week. So number one is be a household encourager this week. Be the person who makes an intentional effort in your house to lift up the people you live with, or those that you chat with on the phone or video conference with if you're not living with others. But just point out the blessings that you see. Express gratitude for what is good. Remind people that you love them and you see many good things in them. Be that person this week. Number two, call people in your church family. Someone you don't normally talk to. Someone maybe you know who lives alone or doesn't have a lot of interaction going on right now. Say hi. Offer to pray for them, either right there on the phone if you're willing to do that, or just commit to praying later for something that's on their heart. And the third thing I think you could do practically for mission this week is to send a gift to Beacon House, to Freedom Kitchen, to Feed Nova Scotia, to a soup kitchen, to a shelter in Halifax. Our church website has information on giving to a couple of those. If God has given you the means, then this would be a good time to use some of his money to help people in crisis. This week, I read something someone wrote that I thought was a pretty powerful way of summing it up. He said that nobody gets into heaven without good references from the poor. And I thought that was quite the way of putting it. And look, I think you will find it a blessing to express some love and care to others rather than pulling back too much in the face of this pandemic. And that's not how the mission of the church works. That's not how the example of Jesus works. And so there's blessings and encouragement to be found in trying to be a blessing and an encouragement. So let's focus on following Jesus into mission in the weeks ahead. Let me pray for that. God, I pray that as we figure out how to cope with this, you'll help us to do more than just kind of pull back into a new safe space we've created. We need some of that, I'm sure, but we also need to remember that we have a mission, we have a purpose, that we're not helpless, but we have something to give to this world, something special as your followers, because living in your example and loving in the ways you loved is a powerful thing that will change us and change the people and world around us. And so I ask that you would help us to see ways that we can be following you on mission this week. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, thanks, and we'll see you next time.